Today is the final of the 3 videos on my top 11 favorite wrestlers in AEW. That of course means today is tag teams. Before we start, there's 2 entries that may be considered controversial. For the first and the higher ranked of them, I will not be addressing the issue in order to avoid spoilers. The second issue was explained under this rule, in which I established in my women's ranking, which an official signing, if the talent appears regular between the Darks and Dynamite, will not be required, and this will apply across lists in which this rule applies. And now, with that out of the way, let's get into the list. 11. Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson. This spot was a toss-up between Uno and Grayson or Silver and Reynolds. I gave to the former Super Smash Bros. Over the other two for being founding members of the Dark Order. Basically, without these two, we may never get Silver and Reynolds in AEW, and we definitely do not see them achieve the success which they have under the Dark Order banner. 10. Jurassic Express. As my top male wrestlers list showed, I enjoy me some Jungle Boy, so of course the team of him and Luchasaurus make their way onto this list. For every bit of excitement the Jungle Boy brings to the table, we can easily see double that when these two are together, be it the entrance that drives the crowd wild, including me, or their in-ring work. These guys are just electric. Number 9. The Lucha Brothers. Both so immensely talented on their own, I don't think there's one person who has seen their fair share of Lucha Bros matches and not enjoyed at least one, if not all. These are the kind of guys I could watch all day, especially when they're in there with the Young Bucks, FTR, Proud and Powerful, or any other team that's on their level. I find it almost outrageous that they are yet to hold the AEW World Tag Team titles, but hey, maybe sometime soon. Number 8, Proud and Powerful. A team that I believe really should have already had a run with the tag team titles, very similar to the Lucha Brothers. Proud and Powerful have it all. They can talk and convince you of anything, but also throw down the ring, and then by combining those two, keep the fans always entertained. I'm also yet to mention their membership in the Inner Circle outright, but this is important to add as the Inner Circle is easily my favorite faction in AEW, and a big part of that is Santana and Ortiz. Number 7, FTR. Now, while I do enjoy myself some flips as previous and upcoming entries show, I also enjoy an old school team like FTR, and I credited this most to my enjoyment of a team that is very similar and seemingly always compared to FTR, that being the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard. Two men whose careers were absolutely gifts to the wrestling business, and now FTR has picked up right where they left off and added on to it. FTR was just dominant when they came to AEW, and I was very excited to see it. And I'm so happy that they got a run with the tag belts. And that match with the Young Bucks lived up to everything we were hoping for in the years that built to it, even before FTR left WWE. 6. Top Flight. Just a couple of boys from the 612 and graduates of the academy. My love for these guys, namely Darius Martin, stretches back even before AEW was a thought, and when Darius was then known as Airwolf and dominating the indie scene here in Minnesota, and specifically for me, right here in Duluth, where he was a former Heavy on Wrestling World Champion. Darius would also team with Dante on the indie scene, where he was known as Angel Dorado, and for those of us who were pretty exposed to these two brothers, it's just a gift to be able to see them on national TV and gaining fans all over the globe. 5. Varsity Blondes. These two, while no slouches themselves, get a little bit of a boost from having Julia Hart alongside them for many of the reasons similar to Top Flight that were previously established in my women's ranking. But then they also can go in ring and back up the built-in support, showing just recently putting on that very enjoyable match with the Young Bucks for the tag titles. I thoroughly believe that, be it together or as singles wrestlers, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison will be a big part of AEW's future. 4. The Best Friends. A team who already was off to a hot start with me coming in AEW, as someone who, like many others, followed their work previously, namely in Ring of Honor and New Japan, and in the case of Trent, thoroughly enjoyed his work alongside Rocky Romero and Roppongi Vice. Best Friends have really stepped up to another level, showing that their appeal expands past just a cult fan base by getting over with the AEW crowd, even outside of those who already love them. Number 3. SCU. Now, some may consider this cheating, as we all know SCU was forced to break up, but despite that, I felt it's only right to give them their spot on this list, and if you have a problem with that, I'm more than okay with it, but then also, this is my list. Now, what can I say about Kaz and Daniels that hasn't already? I mean, they are some of the greatest workers of today's wrestling, and I consider myself honored to be able to watch the appears ending of CD's career in ring here as a part of AEW, and also the first AEW Tag Champs in AEW history, with Kaz and Scorpio Sky defeating the Lucha Bros on the October 30th, 2019 episode of Dynamite. 2. Butcher and the Blade. As I try and find the words to express why I like these guys, I find myself drawing a blank. Is it because they're managed by one of my favorites in AEW, an Alley, who, along with the Blade, then known as Braxton Sutter, I'd be exposed to an Impact? Is it because there is just something unique about these guys? Whatever the reason or reasons are, I'm all for it, and I'm happy AEW not only brought Bladen back into my view, but also exposed me to the Butcher, because these guys do entertain me, and that's something I can confirm without a doubt. 1. The Young Bucks. The Elite is a group that pulled me back into wrestling when I thought my interest was all gone. But it wasn't that, but a lack of what I wanted to see being presented. The Elite, both Kenny Omega and the Bucks, showed me that was out there. The Bucks exposed me to some of my favorite teams to this day, be it first Roppongi Vice, which then allowed me to accept the Best Friends, or showing me the amazing works of Redragon, and then in a way, exposed me to the Bullet Club. For that, I'm so happy that I stepped away from WWE, and in it allowed my love for wrestling to be rediscovered. I owe it in part to Matt and Nick, and for that, the Young Bucks are my number one tag team in AEW.